Molly Green.
And
Darren Rudge.
I saw Monty Don just going hell for leather with a hoe.
I'd certainly keep them going all the year round.
The Happy Garden.
Hello and welcome to another special episode of the Happy Garden podcast. My name is Molly. It's gorgeous to be with you. Now, it's a little bit of a different Happy Garden podcast this week. We're talking Gardeners World Live. Now, if you can't get to the NEC in Birmingham for this year's BBC Gardeners World Live and Good Food Show combined, then you've come to the right place. Let me bring a little bit of the NEC to you. Now, the first Gardeners World Live was held in June 1992. It was a spin-off from the BBC Gardeners World television series. And the event had about 17,500 attendees and over 100 exhibits. And since 2005, Gardeners World Live has been co-located with the BBC Good Food Show Summer as well. And Gardeners World Live, my goodness, the event has grown and grown. It's now one of the UK's leading garden events, and it usually has a footfall of over 100,000 people. So let's delve into the show. Actually, if you do want a broad overview of what to expect in this year's show, have a listen to last week's Happy Garden podcast, because I spoke to Bob Sweet, who's the show director, about all of the things that are going to be packed into this year's show. God love him. If you listened last week, you'll know he was on his hands and knees in the mud. I think he was healing in some roses or something. He gets involved in all aspects. And you'll have heard him say, just to name a few, there's the International Orchid Show featuring about 30,000 species and 200,000 hybrids. The huge houseplant area, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. There's a gardening theatre, beautiful borders, the school wheelbarrow competition, and magnificent show gardens. We'll be hearing from our Darren Rudge a little bit later on. This bit of the podcast I'm recording a couple of days before the show starts. So later on, well, first up, you're going to hear a few interviews of people who are getting ready for the show. But then when it all kicks off, when it all starts, I shall go and see Darren Rudge. Don't worry, he's in this episode, but Darren's not live with me now because he's getting ready. He's a show judge. He's doing talks and tours and all sorts of stuff at the show. So I'll catch up with him live on Thursday. Now, talking about show gardens, this year, the headline show garden has been designed by Gardeners World presenter and our friend Adam Frost. It's called The Chef's Table, and I caught up with Adam yesterday to tell us more.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Now, I know you're on site. I was going to say mid-build, but dear God, you're not mid-build. You're a couple of days away from it all coming to fruition, because I know how long a show garden takes in the making. And the last time you and I sat down for a chat, it was the Malvern Autumn show. So I'm guessing it wasn't too long after that you started planning this garden.
No, I think I'd already sort of done
Started.
it, if that makes sense. Yeah, I had. It was sort of after Gardeners World Live last year. I think the lovely team had said to me, would you do one? And I'm going, I don't know. And then my oldest daughter runs the office. So then we approached Mrs. Frost and she said, go on then. Wow. So yeah, we're here.
Nearly a year in the making. That's crazy. And we're a couple of days away from opening. As you and I are speaking, you just said your hands are filthy, cup of tea, you're having a quick break. But I mean, you're well stuck in. How's it going?
Yeah, all right. I mean, the last project I did really was at Chelsea 2015. So it's been, and as much as I garden at home, I would say, my knees know about it. I'm kneeling in muck, and yeah, but it's going well. It's going really well. It feels like I wanted it to feel. I wanted it. Obviously, it's a show garden, but I want it to feel as real as it possibly can. If that makes sense. There's always a sense of theatre about them, isn't there? But yeah, it's good. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it, yeah.
Tell us about the Chef's Table. I mean, reading about the concept, which hopefully you're about to tell us about, it seems so obvious that they should combine the BBC Good Food Show with BBC Gardeners World Live. It's just going to be an explosion in the middle.
Exactly, and I don't think they really do it. And I think Family Day Out, what's lovely, and you get the sense of my lot as well, that they'll all come to this one because they're a mix of both. So I think that idea of Chef's Table was, I think the only other thing I'd have ever done for a living was cook, but actually in reality it's slightly indulgent because it also means that I get the week either sort of in demonstrations or interviewing famous chefs. That's all right, isn't it? I can handle that.
It's all right.
But what I have realised as I'm planting it up, this chef of mine is becoming more eccentric by the day. Yeah, so I'm trying all sorts of little experiments, trying this plant with that plant, this plant with that. You know, it's got a bit of sort of, got an ode to the grandparents. It's got a slightly Jeff Hamilton sort of put that next to that.
Yeah.
It's got a sort of a chef wanders to the end of his or her garden and just wants to be there. And it's sort of all of that put in a bag and shook up a little bit and then transformed onto a piece of ground in the middle of Birmingham.
I love it that it's expanding your horizons as well. I mean, every month we do sort of a foraging slot where we profile what you can eat out of the garden, what you can eat out of the hedgerows. Loads of plants people wouldn't necessarily think of eating. So I'm guessing that your show garden's going to inspire people to sort of think a little bit out of the box.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that what it's going to say more than anything is, look, don't have to separate. You don't have to separate your vegetables from your ornamentals. You don't need lots and lots of space. Gardens don't have to be over tidy. Experiment a lot more, and we worry too much about the rules. And I've got things that I've popped in different places that I know would self-seed around the garden, and they self-seed where you don't expect them to self-seed. So I've even bit of that. I've moved something that loves sun into semi-shade. It will still grow, but it will probably be slightly smaller. So it's interesting. I suppose once you learn how to garden, you can then push the boundaries a little bit, I suppose, which is what I enjoy doing.
So give us a little overview of the layout of your fabulous garden.
So it's sort of got. I found some lovely old apple trees at Hilliers, and so they're the basis really. So if you imagine, you wander into the bottom of a larger garden, and there's sort of some rough grass. So rather than what I've done is I've used more sort of species grass that I have home on my lawn. So I've used the same sort of feel. So when you're approaching, it just feels as if you're walking to this slightly overgrown sort of green space. And then there's a little bridge that cuts through the middle, and then that is sort of burnt and dark. So that ties in with the chef's building that sits at the back of the garden. But then as you enter onto the bridge, you sort of come to, I suppose, a classic little veg plot, that's laid out as veggies would be. And then the further you get into the garden, you've got a mix of ornamentals, veggies, herbs, starting to be blended together. And you've got this sort of stream that meanders its way through it, really. And a sort of rough, overgrown wood area that sits at the back that's got the, against the hedge. So it's clean, tidy and polished. It hopefully, I don't know, I just want people to come, if it puts a smile on people's faces.
Yeah.
That'll do,
What's really lovely as well, Adam, because it is a small space, then you have the inspiration, I can do this at home. I went to Hidcote Gardens a few days ago. Oh, my God. I mean, that's 10 acres. I'm sure you've been there. It actually brought me to tears. It was overwhelming. And you think, and it's so overwhelmingly big, you think, how can I recreate this at home? The beauty with a show garden like yours is it's not massive. It's probably what we've all got at home. And so you can try and take inspiration and replicate some out of it.
Yeah, the little plant associations, the trees that I've used in it, got sort of edible bits and pieces. I've got some containers, so we're potting stuff up as we speak, and we're going to run containers through it with sort of herbs, veggies, this, that, the other in it. So, yeah, there's definitely little ideas for people. Even the way that I've used the gravel with some old brick, it's not got anything. I've not gone and spent. To be fair, all the materials apart from gravel I've got out of my yard.
Oh,
yeah. So I've got a sort of my own little reclamation yard, which is basically over the years all the jobs that we've had, all the big pieces that have come back either from shows or just from 15 bricks left or 20 bricks or half a pallet here on a job, and I don't throw anything away.
Oh, cool.
Mrs. Frost calls me steptoe.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I literally won't throw anything away. So actually, yeah, most of it, apart from the building's got new material, but apart from that, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all
Salvaged.
sort of stuff that I haven't had to. Yeah, I haven't really had to go and spend any money on it. So
Your
and it
your
just shows
garden.
you different ways of using it.
Your garden sounds like ours, salvaged for every occasion. So I was going to ask you what's going to happen to the garden afterwards, but then most of it's going home. It's going back to where it
Yeah,
came.
it's most of it's going up. Yeah. It's quite. What's sort of amazing is that I was joking with someone the other day. I said I've built a little kitchen unit inside, and it's got a little sort of barbecue built in. But I said I must be the luckiest man alive because I built it, and then actually there's a space outside my house, and you would not believe this. This little kitchen fits perfect in that space.
Oh, cool. Fate.
How lucky?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just luck, isn't it?
Yeah. Slash fate. And talking to your house, I've got to say, Adam, I know I love Monty and his dogs, of course, but even more so, I love you and Ash, your long-haired black cat.
Yeah.
When I see Ash sitting just with his eyes half closed in a warm patch of soil and you're in the background, it's my heaven watching that.
Oh no, it's the other way around. I think it's Ash and Adam, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's definitely
Yes.
he's definitely become the. I was joking someone today. They said over the winter I think he's been going to RADA. Because every season he comes back and he gets better.
Yeah, the slow blink is even more defined.
Yeah, I know. His timing is like impeccable. But and you know what cats are like? Cats do what they do. They don't. You don't get to tell him. I mean, he does behave a little bit more like a dog. He will but he's funny because I'm away for a week. He sulks.
Yeah.
He sulks. So the kids will go. He'll come in, and because I'm the one up early in the morning, and I'm not there to feed him, he'll come down. He will eventually, when they all get up, he'll have his breakfast. He'll go back to the garage, and then when I come home, he'll come back into the house as well.
Daddy's
funny,
boy,
isn't it?
Daddy's boy. Cats are gifts from God. They really are. Couple more questions. Show garden aside, you're doing lots of talks at Gardeners World Live too every day.
They've got me flat out. I'm here for 4 days, which is brilliant. So not only am I doing my little interviews with, I think I've got James Martin, Michelle Roux, I've got Cy, Glyn Pennell, and then the Good Food magazine are going to come back on the garden. So that'll be awesome on that side of it. But then on top of that, I'll be on. I think I'm on the Gardeners World stages, and they've got me all over the place.
Ash will be furious.
Yeah. Ash will be furious, but I will go home on. I'll go home on Sunday night, and I'll take him a present. They'll probably forgive me, but the show's looking good. It's looking good, and I think what I love about this one is it feels real. I think that's you said about the achievable bit, and I think lots of the gardeners and even the beautiful borders and people having their first attempt, and that's what I think's the sort of new designers. I think that's what this show's about, really.
What are you looking at right now? Do us a 360.
Well, I've come back towards the building, so the reception's a little bit. But so if you imagine you come out of that building, you're looking across the road. So actually, I'm looking at my garden. Which is the first thing you see, and then you've got to the left. I mean, at the moment, if I'm really honest with you, it's lots of vans, lots of lorries, lots of racks of plants, lots of high vis, yes, and a reasonable amount of noise. Which all of a sudden, that's the bit about the shows that you love. All of a sudden, they look chaotic, and then the trolleys go, and the brooms come round, and the water finishes, and then there's a serenity about the place, which is the best things about shows, actually. That last sort of 12, 14 hours, how everything, goes from slightly mad just to boom, done, right, now we're open and we're ready for the public. So,
and then isn't it crazy that in a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, it'll all have gone?
Yeah, it will do. Yeah, it's sort of, I mean, it's quite nice. All my plants are going back to a local charity that's local to me called sort of Mind Space. So that'll be lovely.
That's
so we'll,
nice.
and I've done some bits and pieces for them locally. So that's nice as well. And for me, it's a great little sort of smaller charity, but they're doing, fantastic work. So they've got an allotment and a space that they can use. So a lot of the plants are going to go back to them, which is nice. So things will live on and we can have conversations, which is great. Yeah, you're right. But it is mad. It's a mad thing to be involved in it, sort of coming and doing it and and then going again. But there's also something slightly addictive about it as well, I think.
Yeah.
Because the camaraderie between everybody is magical. It really is.
There we go. That's what I was waiting for, the truck reversing noise.
Yeah, exactly. You got it all. So you've got it all. Yeah,
Excellent.
Yeah. This vehicle is reversed.
Yeah, be careful. Listen, one final question for you. Once
Go
breakdowns
on, mate.
happened, once we're over the Gardener's World Live hill, what does the rest of 2024 hold for you, Adam?
Wow, I think I'm going down to obviously Gardener's World will carry on as per. So I've got quite a lot to do with that. And then you've got these other shows. You've got we're off to Hampton, we've got Tatton, and then we'll be back at Malvern, won't we? But also, my real job is busy as well. So which is and I've just finished a book. So
Ooh.
I wish I've got to go down and sit a few days and go sit with some editors while they pick it to pieces, basically. So I've got quite a lot to do over the next couple of months. But,
When should the book be out?
so that'll be out next spring, which I'm going to go on tour with it, I think, as well. So I did a theatre tour, which was really good fun, and they've asked me to do another one, which is me going around the country just telling, lots of naughty stories, really. But,
Naughty stories. Yeah. It's a
There's
book
fair
of
few
naughty stories.
Yeah. It's Adam Frost live rather than the BBC's cut version.
Yeah, no, it'll be
So,
Adam Frost live and naughty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've got it.
Look forward to that. Right, we'll talk to you about that nearer the time. Listen, I better let you go. Your tea's probably gone cold and you needed back on site.
Yeah, we good, mate. We good. I'm going to go and carry on, put my hands in the soil and get some plants in the ground.
All right. Look forward to seeing you when the show opens. Thanks, Adam.
All right, mate. You look after yourself. Cheers, darling. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Adam Frost here on the Happy Garden podcast. I can't wait to see his show Garden. It sounds absolutely amazing. Now, another thing that is new for Gardener's World Live this year is the urban gardening area. The fabulous, the Good Life gardener, Ade Sellars, is hosting this area this year. It's all for town and city garden inspiration. I spoke to him to ask him exactly what to expect.
Oh, wow. Where do we start? It's new. Never before has Gardener's World Live done this, so it's exciting. We've got some amazing speakers. We've got Sis Tophill. She's coming over. We've managed to convince her. So she's coming to a nice talk. It cost me a bottle of Pfizer and a 20p bag of mix-up, but she's coming over. We've got Kim Stoddart, who's, as many people know, she is the editor of Amateur Gardening magazine. And then we've got, the legend himself, Jason Williams, a.k.a. the Gardener. So we are packed this week with wonderful gardeners, all coming from all corners of their land to give their advice, to give their experience, their gardening journeys. It's going to be fantastic.
One great thing this year, well, it happens every year, but Gardeners World Live doesn't stand still. We've just been talking to the International Orchid Society that's brand new this year. You guys are new. It really adds to sort of the vibrancy and the excitement of the show. There's always new things to see, do, and experience.
Absolutely. And the other thing, for me on a personal level is the gardens that are showcasing, because every year we have a new wave of gardeners coming in to showcase, what they're passionate about, whether it's vegetables, whether it's borders, flowers, blooms. So you get this whole new wave of gardeners, which makes Gardeners World Live so unique and really exciting. And because it's such a wonderful community, they're all talking to each other. Even this week, if you go to Instagram, for example, they're all helping each other out to build their gardens, to build their borders. And it's a really spirit of, community spirit. And hopefully that will overlap into the urban gardening area.
And of course, everybody seems to be wanting to garden these days. It's not just for those that live out in the countryside with vast, sprawling gardens. Since COVID times, when I think most of us were forced to garden because we've got nothing else to do, and the nation has fallen in love with having green fingers. And it's just inspiration that everybody, doesn't matter where you live, can have a little bit of greenery around them.
Absolutely. I mean, the reality is most people don't have the wonderful sprawling gardens. We have balconies, we have patios, we have courtyards. Some of us just have a simple window box, but you can still get your fingers in the soil. There's so much to do. And it's, people talk about the mental health. People talk about just the relaxation you have, the therapeutic side of things. A bit of soil, container, there's a lot you can do. And the fact that post-COVID, there was that sort of thing, is this just a short-term trend? But it's not here to stay. People I've just, the gardening industry just seems to have exploded because of these fantastic new urban gardeners that are coming in and doing their thing. And they turn up the rule book. They're breaking a few rules, and best of luck to them, because we want to see news. We want to see exciting gardening techniques, and we want to see people passionate. I mean, that's the way we get in the next generation, new, fresh approaches. And it's happening at this moment. So again, I had the easy job this week. I'm just the host on the urban gardening stage, and my job is just to signal in these wonderful people. It's people are coming to these speakers who have so much to say. So I'm shouting and screaming from the sideline, but it's all about these speakers, and it's wonderful to see.
I know houseplants are on the agenda as well. And Ade, I have a bit of a problem, actually, with houseplants. I mean, I literally look around this room. My husband shakes his head in despair. There must be over 30 in this room. And I've got to be honest, when you and I have finished speaking, my husband and I are going out to a garden centre, and I'll buy another one.
Yeah.
So,
I have to, house plants, indoor house plants is my wife's domain. I'm not going to lie. That we do hand over the baton at the back door, and she does the indoor house plants. And I kind of look at them and go, well, see, and they're very relaxing. But it's all credit to my wife when it comes to indoor houseplants.
I think they're addictive. Personally, I have a problem. I cannot walk past any shop without buying another. They make me so happy.
I have that with vegetables because I have this kitchen garden, so I can understand the kind of the addiction and the passion for these things. But for me, vegetables is always going to win front and center. But I love flowers, I love plants, so it's win-win.
Well, you see, now you've got an advantage, because the problem probably, I was going to say your wife and myself have got, but you probably have to live with the problem as well, is that when you have so many houseplants, you get the compost flies, and when you're trying to eat your dinner, they're everywhere.
Unwanted family members, we call them. They lurk and they hang around, and you think, oh, we just accept them. It's all part of the journey. So there's things, we've tried all sorts of things, but they can go. And at the end of the day, you're still surrounded by beautiful plants, and that's at the heart of it.
Yeah. Where are you located at Gardeners World Live? Where is the urban area going to be?
And I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure. I can tell you about the area. I can tell you about these beautiful gardens that have been designed by Cherry Carmen, landscape designer. Well, she's creating, I should say, these two wonderful gardens, and they have very different take, and it's dealing with climate change, because we're having to deal with, as we know, heavy rain, drought, and these sudden kind of change in weather and temperatures. And obviously that has an effect on gardens and the future of what sort of plants we have in our garden. And I think Cherry's gone out and said, look, this doesn't have to be a disaster. There's a whole world of plants to discover, and you can make them work in a north facing, south facing, shady spot, a damp bog area, a drought tolerant, So it's kind of like a doorway to a new chapter, and she's taken it as a very positive approach, which is fantastic.
What's her background? I must admit, I don't know much about her as a designer.
Well, she was at Gardeners World. I don't know if I'll get my years right now. I think it was 2017.
Yeah.
And she actually won gold. She won gold for a garden design. And she's been around a few years, and she's done RHS Hampton Court, RHS Hatton. She's obviously got her own gardening business. But again, it's like seeing the next generation coming through and kind of taking the baton and running with it and coming up with these beautiful, fantastic designs.
Award winner, only the best for the urban gardening area.
That's right. We've got the stage polished and ready for these award-winning garden talks. Yeah, no messing around. I've got my mop out. I'm ready to go.
Excellent. I love it as well. And we've been talking about the fact that you don't have to have much space. You don't even have to have any space, because we've been mentioning about houseplants. Yeah. But I know that you're going to be showcasing some plants, the top 25 plants essential for any urban garden.
Yeah, that's right. Because we are sponsored by Blue Diamond, and they're showcasing the top 25 plants that are essential for any urban garden. So in effect, you've got your very own sort of plant capsule wardrobe, plants for every season, including, like we were saying earlier, indoor plants. So, and they're set up towards the rear of the gardening area, the urban gardening area. And there you can go and visit, talk to them, look at the plants, say hello, get advice. So, if you get the chance, obviously come and see the speakers. come and look at Cherry's Gardens, but also go and talk to the guys and girls over at Blue Diamond.
Well, we can't finish speaking to you without promoting you as well, Ade, the Good Life gardener.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest. I lived in London for 20 years before I moved out to rural Suffolk. So, and a lot of time that was renting. You know, before I entered the world of gardening, I was I say, very bad actor. So I was kind of, you know, I was often renting, living in flats, very small bedsits. So for 10 years, my best friend was a wooden pallet. So if I wanted to create gardens, it was wooden pallets, things that I could, you know, put together. I remember for a few years we had a flip top bin that we used to grow rhubarb in. So you know, I've had the urban gardening for many, many years. And then when finally I got my first place, which was a city garden, it was north facing. And it just so happened at the time, Alice Fowler was sort of very much part EC2 sort of lineup. And the way she sort of showed that you can have plants next to flowers, you know, just opened doors for me. And seeing how she did it was, you know, totally inspirational. But, you know, so many years on, and now we've got this flood of urban gardeners coming through. I wish this was happening 20 years ago, because it would have made my life so much easier.
You're ahead of the game.
You know, you learn, you make mistakes, and that's part of the garden journey. You know, you shouldn't feel under pressure. You know, whether you garden 7 days a week or one weekend every 6 months, you know, you're still gardening. You're still doing something positive. And I think that's the important thing. You're doing something positive for yourself and your family. So whether you have a balcony, whether you have 3 acres of land, you know, just get your hands in the soil, give it a go. Don't be shy. There's so many people out there, whether they're on the stage this week on the urban gardening area or out on social media. There's so many, the gardening community is fantastic. And there's so many people doing weird and wonderful things. So get involved, be part of it.
Going to be fabulous to watch you on stage. And I mean, have you had to bribe yourself to be there with a bottle of Tizer and 20p bag of pick and mix? Or?
No, I have no morals. I just turn up and ask them and say, give me a job. That's it.
Excellent.
I don't need anything. You know, if I could get a bottle of clean water, that's fine by me. But no, I have to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous because I want it to be an area that people can have a good time, positive energy, learn something. Hopefully we'll get like I keep banging on a bit, but you know, young gardening types coming in and asking questions. I just hope I can sort of point people in the right direction, because I want it to be a very sort of happy, positive experience. You know, the fact that Gardeners World Live are doing this stage, it just shows the direction as gardening is going in. And I think, you know, my job as the host is to put 2 and 2 together and introduce people and say, go and see this person or talk to that person, or have you read about this? Do you know you can garden by using this? So all I am is kind of the kind of the negotiator. You know, it's the guys and girls that turn up this week and give their talks and show their gardens. For me, they're the heroes. So come, say hello. Please do say hello, because I need friends. But please come and listen to these people talk. I don't know. And I am fanboying. I'm not going to lie. I am a total fanboy for a lot of these gardeners. So I'm really excited.
The Happy Garden Podcast.
I'm Adam Frost, and you're listening to the Happy Garden Podcast with Molly Green and that Darren Rudge fella.
Ade Sellars there, talking to us on the Happy Garden Podcast. He is known as the Good Life Gardener, if you want to check him out. Isn't he lovely? I've spoken to some really smashing people this week. Gardening people. Just so gorgeous, aren't they? They really are. It's such a good community we've got. And here's another good egg, Kevin Smith, who is editor of the BBC Gardener's World magazine, which is fabulous, and it does have some free lupins in it. This month. Anyway, I chatted to him about exactly what's going on each day at the theatre.
Well, the theatre is the sort of the heart of the show, really. It's where all of the Gardeners World presenters and other special guests all put on a live performance. And I'm hosting the theatre jointly with Nikki Chapman. And I'm really excited about it. It's always my favourite part of Gardeners World Live.
Who do you have speaking every day? I know you say you got Nikki there. There's loads of other celebs, isn't there, this year?
Yes, there is. Across the run of the show, we've got Adam Frost, Joe Swift, Carol Klein, Francis Tophill, and lots of others as well. But those are the big ones.
What do you cover during the talks?
Well, all sorts of things. So Nikki Chapman is in conversation with them. So she'll be talking about lots of interesting stuff. I'm particularly interested to hear her catch up with Carol because she's going to be talking to Carol about how her garden has helped her after her recent cancer diagnosis and treatment and, subsequent recovery. So that's really good. I'm really looking forward to that because I know that Carol really does want to share her story. So that's great. And then I'm going to be doing more practical things. So I'm going to be with Monty talking about roses. So we're going to take some inspiration from everything that he's done in the cottage garden at Longmeadow this year and discuss why roses are important to him. We're going to be discussing summer greenhouses with Adam Frost and getting the most from your crops and all of that sort of stuff. Francis Tophill will be talking about the power of perennial plants and why they're so fantastic for, a sustainable way of gardening. So lots and lots of fantastic stuff.
You're a gardener yourself, aren't you?
I am, yes, I try to be.
Tell us about your garden. I'd be really interested, actually, Kevin, as editor of BBC Gardener's World magazine. What's your garden like?
Well, it's suburban for a start. So I live in an Essex town. So it's, I'm surrounded by houses. I'm not in rolling countryside or anything like that. And actually, it's gone through a bit of a transformation this year. I did have a lawn and quite a lot of box hedge. But where I live in Essex, the box hedge has succumbed to box tree caterpillar, and I just couldn't keep on top of it. So that's come out this year. And I have also taken up my lawn because it's incredibly dry where I am. And during the very hot summers that we've been having of late, it hasn't looked good. So I'm looking out the window at it right now, and I can see a beautiful water feature. I've got some topiary. There's gravel paths, lots of pots of pelargoniums, and then just beyond a hedge, I've got raised veg beds and my greenhouse, which is where it all really happens.
And aren't you lucky that you have friends in such high places that should ever you need any advice, you literally have the best on hand?
It's great stuff. It's really brilliant. And, gardeners are the friendliest people in the world, whether they're famous TV presenters or otherwise. We all love sharing our knowledge and information. And I am lucky. I do get to go to Monty's and to Longmeadow quite often. And I often stand in Longmeadow and think, oh, goodness, this really is fantastic and beautiful. And my garden at home doesn't look like this. And then I have to have a quick word with myself and think, hold on a minute. This is the flagship garden of BBC Gardener's World. I don't think I need to beat myself up too much if my garden at home doesn't look quite up to scratch and up to Monty's standards. So yeah, it does pay to have a reality check once in a while.
Kevin Smith, editor of BBC Gardener's World magazine. Now, another thing that is new at Gardener's World Live this year, as you've been hearing, is orchids. A lot of orchids. Let me introduce you to Clive Lloyd. He's from the UK International Orchid Show. First time for you this year at the show, Clive.
Yes, it is. Well, the show has been around for quite a while. It's moved venues a number of times, and we're really, really excited to be here. Really, what is arguably the most premier gardening show in the UK. I think it's very important that we bring orchids into the public domain as much as possible. The ever-present moth orchid, or Phalaenopsis, is the most common house plant that there is at the moment. So, but equally, well, I find there's a lot of people have a great appetite to learn more about orchids.
Well, firstly, before we talk about orchids, I just got to pick up on something you just said. You're so right, and I will underline what you said. It is just about the most friendly show, horticulturally speaking. It's just a really good gang at the NEC every June.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we've been made very, very welcome here.
Good.
And whilst it has been a change of procedures for everybody, there's a bit of getting used to. Now that we're here and there's plants appearing all over the place, there's quite a great spirit of optimism here at the moment.
Brilliant.
We're really looking forward to this.
Well, yeah, as long as someone's shown you where the toilets and everything are and you found your way to and from the car park. Worked out the bus system. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yes.
And well at home. So you mentioned, there's one or two orchids and people, often have them in their households. But the thing with orchids, Clive, is there are so many to choose from.
Well, there are. The orchid family is arguably the largest family of flowering plants on the planet. I think it vies with the daisy family. Certainly in gardens, for instance, we don't see very many of them, but certainly, but in terms of house plants, I think there's a huge variety of them. And you've also got to bear in mind that over the years, a huge amount of hybridization has gone on. There are somewhere between 25 and 30,000 species of orchids, and another 200,000 hybrids to choose from. So, and of course, hybridization is continuing all the time. The breeders are actually bringing on different hybrids that are more suited to being grown as houseplants as well. So, yes, it's an ever-evolving field in that respect.
Clive, what are you looking at right now during the build-up? You're in the floral marquee. We can hear banging. Is it all happening your end?
Chaos. Well, it looks like chaos, but no, everybody's going about their job, and stands are being dressed, and the Bournemouth Orchid Society display have a wonderful display. We're all just wondering if it's mainly full of rubbish from the tip, and how they're going to make that into an orchid display. Where, well, waiting with bated breath.
It's crazy, isn't it? Build up is so chaotic, and then there's this air of
Absolutely.
calm. You hope when it opens. Is it possible to keep them outside in this country, Clive?
Hardy orchids, absolutely. Yes. There are quite a few of the hardy orchids kept outside are actually our own native species or related to them. But there's a huge range of slipper orchids and Japanese calanthes that all do make good garden plants, or even look very good in a pot, on a patio, something like that. So, yes, absolutely.
So this is all the stuff we can learn if we come and see you at Gardeners World Live. Where are you located? Where is your new home?
Where are we? We're in the floral marquee.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the team here are giving us a wonderful site. So we're taking over probably about a quarter of the floral marquee, I think,
Wow.
by the look of it. And, we have 23 orchid displays here spread over both trade exhibits and orchid societies. We have 14 traders here, including 4 from overseas, from Taiwan and South America. So, yes, there's an awful lot to see here.
So there's experts on hand with you? People can come up and get advice?
Yes, absolutely. Each stand has got, will be manned, and there are expert growers, there are amateur growers, but there are also professionals here in the trade. Spice Optics and Burnham Nurseries, or two that come to mind. Burnham Nurseries is the longest established nursery in the UK. So yes, a huge amount of experience here and knowledge for people to come and share.
If people do get inspiration at Gardeners World Live with with you being there, the International Orchid Show, are there lots of societies around the UK? Would there probably be a local one to people listening?
Yes, absolutely. There's about 35 orchid societies, and they are all affiliated to the British Orchid Council, who have their own stand here. So you can come and get information about the societies there as well. The British Orchid Council also has information and displays on different ways of growing orchids, orchid conservation, and again about the orchid nurseries that supply orchids.
What's your favourite orchid, Clive?
I tend to grow mainly a group called Cattleyas. They're mainly they're from South America and Central America. I tend to have a bit of a specialisation in those. I did win the Cattleya class
2 years ago.
Oh, congratulations. I'm talking to an
Thank you.
award winner.
Oh yes. No, I've had a few certificates of cultural commendation from the RHS. The RHS are actually having the Orchid Committee are actually having a meeting here on Saturday to award plants. We have involvement of the main horticultural society in the country as well.
Wow. What's your website for people who want to find out more about organisations, maybe locally to them?
The website it's ukinternationalorchidsociety.com.
Well, welcome to the Midlands, welcome to the NEC, welcome to Gardeners World Live. Hopefully this is the first of many years to come. We look forward to seeing you when the show opens.
So. Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you, Clive.
That's all right. Thank you very much.
Clive Lloyd there from the UK International Orchid Show. Now, I talked to you at this juncture of the podcast. I have literally just got home. It's Wednesday afternoon and I've been to the sort of the press thing at Gardeners World Live. So what a privilege walking around it empty, apart from a few press people. Wow. And I've got lots and lots of pictures. I'll make a little video. Have a look at the Happy Garden Podcast Facebook page and you'll be able to see a little walk around there when it's empty. It's quite strange, but quite a privilege to be there. But whilst I was there this afternoon, you know me, I love chickens. I saw a show garden called A Plot Amongst the Chickens. And loitering by the plot was the designer, Ben Shuttler. So I sidled up to him. So, Ben, I noticed the chickens. I noticed you. I thought I'll come over and ask how come chickens are at Gardeners World Live this year?
Because people say to me, you can't have chickens in a small space. So I proved a point and said in a 6 metre by 4 metre garden, yes, you can. You can have chickens in a small space and grow, create compost and have flowers and make it look pretty. So and enjoy the space as well. So you can have us all in one space with chickens. No problem at all.
Describe what we're looking at stood in front of your garden. What have you done?
So we've got 4 lavender Pekin bantams and an Astera cage with homemade tunnels that we've created to give them the extra run. And then we've got all edibles against the run itself. So all the herbs and the edible flowers are on the inside, and then the decorative florals are on the outside. So we've got variegated maize, we've got barren millet, and we've got the calendulas and things as well when they're on front, so they can just help themselves and take the treats they want with the nasturtiums hanging over from the top.
Oh, that's nice. As a chicken mom, do you know, Ben, I've never thought of giving them tunnels. That's genius.
Yeah, that's called chunnels. So the chicken tunnels, they've been called chunnels now.
Of course it is.
So yes, they're amazing, and these have all been purpose built for this, so they're absolutely perfect.
Is this the first time you've showed at Gardeners World Live, that you've designed for this show?
It's the first time I've ever designed a garden in my life.
Oh, wow,
So I've
Ben.
never done it before at all.
So how come this year? What's different?
I saw one last year and I was inspired, and I went home and I designed a plan, and next thing I know, I'm here this year building my own.
Oh, do you know what, Ben, I have to ask because I have absolutely no idea. So how this works with, logistically, you have an idea, you want to come to the show. Is it difficult to get a spot and to be a designer here? How does it work?
You just go on to their online thing when they release the application, you sign up for the application and they approve your application, and if you're approved, you come and build it.
When you got your email through saying you're coming, did you think, now what?
I was cooking dinner at the time, and to be honest, I burnt dinner after I found out because I completely lost what I was doing. So yeah, it's an emotional moment.
And has the build-up been good for you, as you wanted it, as you needed it?
Yeah, it's all been good. We've had a few issues with things where I thought the public could get a bit close to the front, so we put a new rope barrier across the front just to keep them back a little bit, so the chickens had a bit more space, really, a bit more privacy, and just to stop people worrying that the chickens could get stressed.
Yeah. They're not. They won't do, will they? They're quite far away from everybody.
Exactly that. Chickens get stressed by other chickens, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
And what happens with judging? When do you know what accolade you've got?
Well, they came around this morning and they've seen it all, and they seem happy enough. So I'll find out at 6 o'clock this evening, hopefully, and they'll tell me what's going on.
How are you feeling?
I'm fine. I didn't build it for the judges. I built it for people to see it. So I'm not worried what I get. As long as people enjoy the garden, I'm not worried.
And are inspired to get chickens. They are. You and I were talking before. They're just the most wonderful creatures, aren't they, to have around?
They're brilliant. They've got such personalities. They recognise so many features with people. They recognise who's who, whether they're going to be good to them or bad to them, and they're just happy. They're happy creatures, and I love it.
Yeah, chickens rock. Good luck, Ben. I'm here tomorrow, so I shall be very, very excited to see what you get. Good luck.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
Time now for a few adverts, but we will be back in just a couple of ticks. We'll find out how Ben did, and also I'll be introducing you to the most lovely lady who rescues, rehabilitates and then rehomes plants. She's fab. We'll meet her very, very shortly. See you in a tick. Let's fast forward to Thursday. It's the 13th of June and the show is now open. Right, let me make my way through the crowds to Ben's garden with the chickens. Awful lot of people around it. Hang on one second. Here we go. Actually, I can see Ben. Let me just grab him. He's got a semicircle of people around him. Ben, Molly, what did you win?
Silver.
Oh,
I got silver, yeah. Really pleased.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Has it been received well today?
Very well, yeah. Public are loving it.
I'll let you get on. So many people want to speak to
I
you,
know.
but well done.
Thank you very much.
Well
Cheers,
done,
Ollie.
Ben. Oh, I'm well chuffed for him. Right, let's continue walking. Adam's chef table to the left of me. My goodness, there are so many people here. It's fabulous. The interest for these show gardens is amazing. So a lot of the designers are here and they have a huge semicircle, like 3, 4, 5 deep, of people wanting to talk to them. It's amazing. Right, I am now in front of the floral marquee and I'm going to go into the bottom left entrance because I know that's where Stan and Vicky from Craig House Cacti, good friends of the Happy Garden podcast, are. I saw their stand yesterday when I was here last night ahead of opening. It looked amazing. I'm pulling my trolley along as I'm speaking. Let's go and see what they've won. And they have a semicircle around them as well, but I'm sure they'd be fine for me just to pop and say hello. I can see Stan a mile off. It wasn't that long ago we saw them down at Chelsea Flower Show. He's got the same outfit on. He's basically dressed like a cacti. Hang on, let's make our way across. I am going to have to bide my time though because he has a semicircle around him as well. Whilst I'm waiting for him, I'm just stood by the goodies on the stall. There's cacti earrings, bracelets, pens, tweezers with cacti on, glasses and mugs shaped as cacti. Here's Vicky. Oh, my trolley's in your way. Hi, Vicky. How are you doing?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I haven't even looked at your display because I wanted to ask you personally, what have you won this year?
We got the top one this year,
Woo-hoo!
platinum.
And Stan, congratulations, both of you.
More than gold, platinum,
Top
come
accolade,
on.
Platinum.
My
Platinum
goodness.
this time, yes. First time for a long time.
Oh, is it? For the NEC, yeah?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
So that is creme de la creme with your stall.
It is here, yeah.
Yo, describe actually for people who haven't seen the Craig House Cacti display at Gardeners World Live. What are we looking at? How have you set it all up this year?
Well, it's pretty much on the same lines as Chelsea and in a way more than, but slightly smaller. Not quite as many plants because there's a smaller stand. Not our fault, but there's a smaller stand. So we just ran with it.
And just to remind everybody, of course, you scooped gold at Chelsea as well.
Oh, yes, we did, yes.
Cacti, how has it all been received here today? I mean, it's opening day, but there's a lot of people here now. Have you been off your feet already?
It was a quiet start, but it certainly picked up.
Yeah, certainly busy now.
Yeah,
really busy.
And you guys are great for advice, aren't you? Because people are really getting into these plants, so you're great for advice and help's always on hand with you.
Well, when we can, so hopefully give them good advice.
Yeah. What's a good one to start with?
They're all good ones, come on. Give over.
Are they easy to look after?
They are easy to look after, and no, we don't like awkward things.
Yeah, no bother.
No bother, please.
And for you, Stan and Vicky, Craig House Cacti, scooping gold at Chelsea, platinum at Gardeners World Live. What's next in the horticultural world for you? Are you doing more shows this year?
The next one is Shrewsbury, closely followed by Southport. There's a day in between. And
how are you going to do that?
We manage. But then we've got more than the last one of the year.
Oh, that's the autumn show. What's the Shrewsbury show you're doing?
We haven't been there for a few years, but we're going back this year to help the new floral manager out. But yeah, it'll be very much on the lines of this.
And is this the similar display to Chelsea where it's basically just showing that cacti can be anywhere in the house. They can be whatever you want them to be.
Yeah, just trying to be innovative and giving people ideas.
Yeah.
That's the main thing we want to do.
Well, you've certainly impressed the judges. Congratulations on platinum, guys. Dan, Vicky, well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Caroline Quentin, and you are listening to the Happy Garden podcast. Hooray!
So we're in the houseplant area now, inside at Gardeners World Live, and I've just come across a stand. And Hayley, I overheard your mom talking to somebody, and I thought I've got to stop and talk to Hayley, who owns this. What is your business?
So we're a houseplant shop, but we specialise in cacti and succulents, specifically rescued cacti and succulents, so other people's plants, basically.
This is the bit I've not heard about before. How?
Yeah.
How do you rescue them?
Yeah, well, we buy collections from people, basically. So there's lots of private collectors in the UK with greenhouses or conservatories, absolutely stacked full. They come to the end of their life or get poorly or just can't look after them anymore or don't want to, and have amassed a huge collection. And we will buy them off them, basically, take them from them. Quite often they're in poor health. They've been neglected for many years because the people have not been able to look after them properly. Quite often they're big, heavy, quite large and overgrown sort of thing. So we will go and take them off them, basically, go and pick them up and give them a new lease of life. We're an adoption centre for plants, we call ourselves.
Well, yes, Hayley, your stand is so sweet. There's a little adoption certificate with every plant. Every plant tells a story here, then.
It does. And with cacti and succulents, they're so slow growing, and there's quite often a lot of love and care and time and effort gone into them over the years. Some of them we've got here are 30, 40 years old, some of them older than that. And they don't look like much to some people, but I'm obsessed with them. It's my favourite type of plants. That's where my heart is, so that's what we do.
Every large plant, or even the smaller ones, you say slow growing, every plant here could probably write a book.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got one here, this Euphorbia cristate, which is 80 to 90 years old, we think, potentially more. They're normally small, about a 5 centimetre plant is about 5 years old, and this one is 30 centimetres and multiple growing heads, and the things that plant has seen is unbelievable. It's like an elephant, and when I first came across it, I was near tears. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen anything like it in my life, and that it's a privilege, really, to be able to take these things from someone who can't look after it, rehab it. We've got a big greenhouse in Bristol where we look after them if they need help, hold on to it until it's ready to go to its new home, and then we adopt it out.
You're like a proper rescue centre.
Yeah, literally, it's like pets. They're like my pets, basically. And yeah, people do it for animals and other things, and we're doing it with plants.
And where do you sell then? So do you sell online or a physical shop, or how does it work?
Yeah, so we've always been a houseplant shop. We've always had a physical shop in Bristol, but with the economy and everything going south, last year we closed our shop because we do a lot online. So we're focusing on online and big shows like this, getting the word out. A lot of people, they come to the stand and they just can't believe what we're doing, because it's just such a lovely thing. So yeah, big shows. We've got a pop-up shop in Bristol as well, in Cabot Circus, in a little shop called Prior, and mainly online and big shows.
What's your website, Hayley?
mintplants.co.uk.
Well, just before I let you go, maybe 1-2 stories of what we're looking at. I mean, this table is burgeoning with rescued plants. I mean, what's like... I always say this with rescues, Hayley, because I'm obsessed with any rescue of any animal, and I'm always like, what's the worst one I can help?
Well, we've got an Aloe here, which is... Each mark on the stem there is about a year of growth, and there is hundreds of marks. So that is extremely old and extremely rare. And that one is quite floppy. We've got some bent over leaves, and it doesn't look as perfect as some of them you get in the garden centre, but
it's the same as animals. The ugly ones are the best ones.
Right, we call it ugly beautiful. That's our little phrase for them, because some of them are so gnarly, and but we just love them of all kinds. And then we've got this Pachypodium here, which again it's a huge tree. You only really see them sort of 5 centimetres tall in garden centres and shops, but this is a big tree version, branched out. Again, really slow growing, so that's got to be like 30, 40 years old at least. And you just don't see those kind of things in normal shops. So
Do you get sad when someone buys them? Do you?
I really do. Yeah.
Do you watch them walk off in the trolley?
Yeah, I do. I have to say a little goodbye to them. We did Malvern show last month, and we had a huge planter that they asked us to fill with all of the rescue plants. And people were buying things from there, and we had a huge crasula tree that somebody took, and I literally had to have a little moment with it before I went.
Do you watch it go off round the bends?
I talk to them for like half an hour, make sure they know what they're doing with it, how to look after it, and I'm like, we're here if you need us, we can help.
Any returns?
Any questions whatsoever.
If you can't cope, we'll come and get
Absolutely. And a lot of people are like, oh God, this is such a responsibility, but there's so much character in them, and they are they are so beautiful and so unusual. Because they're rescued private collectors' plants, every single one is different. It's not like a tray of 10 that you get in from wholesaler. Every single one is different and is grown in a certain way, or everything has got a story. So we just love it.
And then likewise, just finally, if there are people listening to this who have collections, something's about to happen, you want to hear from them too?
Absolutely, yeah. We are. It's word of mouth basically is where we get these collections from. There isn't many people doing this kind of thing with the space and the ability to actually buy the collections off people. We want the owners to feel like they've gone to a good place and they've got a good deal for them and they've got something back for all their years of hard work. If there is anyone out there, mintplants.co.uk, give us a shout and we can have a chat and see if we can come and pick it up off you.
Hayley there from Mint Plants. Isn't that lovely? I had no idea that happens. It's like the Cinnamon Trust for plants. Amazing. Well, listen, I came home a little bit early this afternoon because obviously I've got to sit and make this podcast, which will be released, just in a few hours' time, early doors on Friday. Show goes on today if you're listening to the podcast on Friday, today, tomorrow, and... Well, hang on, no, it won't be tomorrow because tomorrow is Friday. I'm getting myself all confused. Basically, it goes on for the weekend as well, finishes on the 16th. And the Sunday is always great to go because they sell off the plants. They break down the show gardens and they flog off the plants. So it's well worth going if you want some bargains just before it finishes. Make sure you get your goodie bag as well before you leave, whatever day you do go. First thing I did when I got home was to unpack the goodie bag. I won't spoil it for you, but there's all sorts of bits in there. The one thing I will spoil for you, because my husband was very, very excited, there's a can of multi-purpose oil in there and all sorts as well. Pay for your parking as well before you go, because then you get a discount. And even if you're not going, I really, really hope that this podcast has brought you a little bit of a flavour. And I underline the word little bit of a flavour because there is so much obviously not covered on this podcast. I've met some amazing people. You'll hear about them and from them in podcasts to come. Gardeners World on through till Sunday. Gardeners World Live, should I say. Gardeners World itself, BBC Two of a Friday night. And, of course, you've got the BBC Gardeners World magazine to thumb through on a regular basis as well. Darren will return. He didn't feature at the end of the podcast because he got called away. He's a busy boy, but he will return and join us next week on the Happy Garden podcast. And I hope you've enjoyed. It's been thoroughly lovely doing this podcast and meeting all these amazing people and going to the show as well. Have a cracking weekend, a cracking week, and we'll see you next Friday.
You've been listening to the Happy Garden Podcast with Molly Green and Darren Rudge. If you'd like to send them an email, get in touch with the Happy Garden Podcast by emailing thehappygardenpodcast@gmail.com. Follow them on social media. Just search for the Happy Garden Podcast. Can we say Happy Garden Podcast just one more time? The Happy Garden Podcast.